This is Gospel Grit. No fluff, no filler, just the truth, straight the way it hits. I'm Kevin Skipworth. Let's get into it. Walk into some churches today and it feels like a concert. Fog machines, colored lights, a band that sounds like it belongs on the radio. And I get it. People want to feel something. But here's a question nobody's asking. Why does the gospel need smoke and mirrors to land? Why does the gospel need smoke and mirrors for it to touch your heart? Somewhere along the way, we started thinking the message wasn't enough, that the cross by itself was too plain. It was too quiet, too old. So what did we do? We dressed it up. We added atmosphere to it. We built an experience around it, hoping the experience would do what the message alone used to do. And I need to say this plain. If your church needs a fog machine to make the gospel feel powerful, you don't have a power problem. What you have is a trust problem. You stopped trusting the message to do the work, and you relied on other means to bring that feeling to your heart. Paul stood in front of the smartest city in the ancient world. He stood at Corinth, full of philosophers, full of rhetoric, full of people who loved a good show. And here's what he told them in 1 Corinthians 2, 1 and 2. He said he didn't come with lofty speech or wisdom. He decided to know nothing among them except Jesus Christ and him crucified. Just the cross, folks, spoken plain. And then he tells them why in verse 5. He says, so that their faith would not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Paul was scared of impressing people because impressed people believe in the show. However, convicted people believe in God. And then you look at Romans 1:16. Romans 1:16 says the gospel itself is the power of God for salvation. Not the lighting, not the fog, not the band, the gospel and the gospel alone. Remember, faith comes by hearing, according to Romans 10:17. Hearing what? Hearing the word, not feeling the atmosphere. See, you can manufacture a mood in a room. Any concert promoter can do that. Any Hollywood set designer can do that. But you cannot manufacture conviction. Only the Spirit does that through the plain preaching of the word. 2 Timothy 4:3 and 4 warns us that a time would come when people wouldn't endure sound teaching. Instead, they gather up teachers to suit their own passions. They gathered up teachers to suit their itching ears, wandering off into myths. That's just not a warning about false doctrine. That's a warning about preference driving the pulpit instead of truth driving the pulpit. When the atmosphere becomes the point, when the fog machine, when the lights become the point, the message then becomes optional. And when the message becomes optional, you don't have a church anymore. All you have is a show with the Bible verse on the screen. See, the gospel doesn't need a fog machine. It needed a cross. It needed an empty tomb. It needed the plain, unashamed proclamation of Christ crucified. And that's it. That's what saves. You can strip away every light, strip away every speaker, strip away every stage, and the gospel still stands. Because it was never about the room, folks. It was always about the risen Christ in the room. Preach him plain. Let the smoke clear. Preach Christ plain. That's all. That's all it takes. That's gospel grit. If it landed, share it with somebody who needs the plain truth today. Until next time, stay grounded, stay gritty, and keep your eyes on the cross. Thank you.